Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Upside Down Art Stream. Gotta switch that around. How's it going? Can you hear us? Please let us know if you can hear us, if we sound okay. We're doing things a little bit different today. Oh, okay, it's flipping around on screen. Should be okay.
みんなようこそ、こんにちは。
Konnichiwa. Wow, this is tiny text. Can we like zoom in on that? Oh, we can. Oh, that's not what we want. All right, yeah.
Hi.
It's like we're streaming for the first time ever today because we're using a completely different computer. Hey. Okay. You can hear us fine. Okay, sweet.
Hi.
That's good.
ありがとうご
See
ざいます。
everything fine? That's good too. All right. Yeah, so how's everyone doing? It's been 2 weeks. Good to see you guys. Come to Japan Dan. Thank you for being here. Pointing everyone out to please
Hi.
hit the like button if you are just arriving. Looks like my camera's gotten a little bit. I guess that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wait. I know this. Kikoeru. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. We're streaming on the Mac. So, we'll see what happens. Streaming over Wi-Fi at the moment. Computer's nice and hot, but it should be fine. Yeah, missed you too. Five Toads Lot Bear. Thanks for being here. Welcome back, Gina.
本当だよね。
Been looking forward to this. Me too. Yeah, for some of you guys may not have been here 2 weeks ago, and we mentioned that we're changing the stream to a once every 2 week thing,
はい。
so that we can spend more time working on the kanji decks
はい。
and the vocabulary deck and stuff until we can get the series going, the new kanji series going,
うん
the reading and writing series going. And we've gotten lots of work done on that, so that's been very good. But it's good to be back this week and see all you guys. Doing great. Finally able to join the stream on time. Welcome, Brian Fowler. Thanks for hanging out.
はい。ようこ
Simon-san,
そ。
hello. I have more time to work too, says Come to Japan Dan. Yes, indeed. All right. Hope that's going well. Yes, it's going really good. We've the vocab deck is coming along really nicely. Just working on the new grammar explanations right now. After that, it's just a matter of recording and popping it in the Anki deck. And,
So.
yeah. Hey, I like your videos about Genki. Is Genki enough as grammar? I mean, it depends on what you mean by enough. It covers enough for like N4 grammar. Is it enough to become fluent in Japanese? I mean, that also depends on what you mean by fluent. The answer to that is no, but it's enough to get started, of course. Hello, Brady the Great. Thanks for hanging out.
ブリタにありがとう。
あいいですね。
ありがとうございます。
Sleepy sartorialist laughs out loud. Yeah, so anyway, with all that said, what we're going to be doing in the streams going forward, of course, we're going to hang out with you guys as we usually do for a little bit. But if we have time, what I'd like to do is we're going to sort of, well, I'll show you the screen. We're going to work on together some of this. This is the N4 kanji data. You can see over here, I've got histories that I've written. We make that all big. It's not exactly easy to look at, but this is the data that I use to create the Anki decks. And you can see over here, we've got my dictionary. So for example, we'll go to kanji. We've got the different kanji explanations here and things like that. So this is the kind of stuff that I use to research. So if we look up here, we'll go back to Hanashi. I use sites like this to look up history. This is where I get our screenshots for the different history designs, things like that. Oh, that's nice and big. So we'll be looking at some of that kind of stuff today, hopefully. And then I'll base all of my descriptions of the history, the names that I choose for the kanji and stuff on dictionaries like this. So I use, real dictionaries. This is QQ, so this is one of the ones. I think we already covered this in N5. But basically, because we've been working so much on the N5 content, I haven't been able to spend up as much time as I would have liked to on the N4. So I figure if we can do some of this stuff together, it'll, for those of you who are looking to get ahead and do some stuff yourself, I figured it might be helpful. And for those of you, yeah, but that's basically the main thing. And also, Iseki Nicho, 1 stone, 2 birds, 2 birds, 1 stone. We get a little bit more done on the N4 deck as we're also working through the N5 stuff. So, wow, it's really involved, the Sleepy Sartorialist. It is indeed. So much work goes into the kanji videos.
やばい、オートマティックストレスを与えています。
Automatic stress. Where was that? Someone was saying about Excel. Oh no, Excel gives me automatic stress. It's cool to see the behind the scenes work though. Yeah. I hear ya. Excel can be quite intense.
私もオートマティックストレスを感じています。この N4 の漢字リ
She
ス
gets
ト。
nervous too. Yuki, you created the list of the kanji for N4, right?
そう、
And you
全
picked
部
out-
の私がやってるのはね、こういうリストの全部の漢字をそのリストアップして、その
So she works on this
そう
tab.
そう N4 と漢検99、
Right, so she-
今回は N4 だか
She
ら
looks
ね。
up N4 and the kanken, which is the test native stake. The N4 is going to be, so it aligns pretty well with level 9. N5 aligned pretty well with level 10. There was just some extra kanji that we added from that to the N5 deck, and we'll be doing the same thing for N4. So you could even take the test at native stake for the QQ for the level 9. And then she picks up the stroke order for us, and she started breaking down the parts as well, even though I mess with those a little bit more myself as well, and she gets us a bunch of the meanings, and then I sort of narrow that down. Sometimes I choose different ones. So you see, like, the ones that I haven't done yet, there's like, 5, 10 meanings for the kanji, and when I get to it, I choose one.
なんか小さいかな、見にくい。もうちょっと。
Is it hard to see for you guys? Some of you's on there. Maybe that's better. So I end up choosing one word. I try to at least. And then I've got histories over here, which is quite long. The parts, see that? That's a nice big history. And then stories. I try to write a story for it, of course. I make notes for the video because I'm trying to get ahead. Because if I can make all these notes and all the histories before we ever work on the video, I also have Unicode codes, readings, the original kanji meanings that we chose. We have the sentences here for each of so Yuki made all the sentences here too for the kanji.
そうで、私はこの音読みと訓読みの
you picked the 音読み
音も入れていて、言葉を選んでいって、
Right. So it is
文章を作ってい
it
ま
is
す。
quite a lot. So I had to get up a new setup for you guys so that we could stream off the Mac, because I do all this on that, and like these dictionaries here, these are not available on Windows. So Iseki Nicho, says Dan. 1 stone, 2 birds. Indeed. How many kanji are covered in N4? Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see.
結構ね、いっぱいあるんだよ。
258.
はい。
And we may add more as I go along. Like I end up finding some extras as we go along. But 258 it looks like. I love that you're covering N4 kanji. I'm studying it right now. Your course is awesome. Thank you, Kevin. I'm glad
あ
to
り
hear
が
that.
とうございます。
Researching about kanji is a good Japanese immersion activity, not gonna lie. It's been quite nice for me because, I haven't been able to do this history research as much lately, but when I can, I'm spending half of my time here reading about, in this thing. It's basically just reading. So it's full on immersion. And then even the website I'm using is all in Japanese. So I basically I don't go near any English content for this because that's already available to you guys. So I'm trying to get stuff that isn't available, so that, you get something new in the videos. But anyway, yeah.
なんかさ、ここで話してるだけだとさ、こういうさ、なんか細かいさ、めんどくさそうなさ、仕事、全然見えないじゃないですか、みんなから。だからこれを見ちゃうと、わ、本当に仕事してるみたいだな。
She said that
ね。
when you see all this like detailed work, it makes people realize that they're actually doing work. It looks like we're just chilling on streams and having fun with videos, but no, this is what really goes into this stuff. It's mostly like I feel like I'm an academic or something.
本当だよね。
Doing actual research. But it may not be super exciting. It may not even be very interesting for streams. We'll see. You guys will have to let me know what you think. I have a question though. I'm seeing nothing popping up in chat. Is the video? Are we still live?
嘘。Still live なんですけど。
Okay, looks like we're fine. Let us know in chat if we're still live because I've seen nothing. Okay, we're good. Whew. Okay, sweet. Chat is just slow. Yes, you're still live. Okay, sweet. Because like I said, we're on a whole new setup, so I'm expecting it to just die at any moment because who knows? みんな
just listening って書いてある。
Okay.
みんな言うことなくなっちゃう。
そうだね。言うことないよね。はい。So anyway, we forgot to mention earlier as I was going through all of these little details that probably no one cares about is do you guys know what's going on here?
はい。
We're just hanging on to every word as a right. You're gonna just enthralled.
そう、ちょっとね、最初に戻るか、イントロのところに戻って。
we return to the introduction and
今日、みんなはまだ26日だよね。
Yes, today is the 26th for most people. Versus the 27th for us.
まあね、そう、ちょっと 27th はね、なんか気に入った日がなかったんで。
There's nothing special for the 27th, so.
そう、26日は、風呂の日と、お風呂の日なんですって。
Apparently the 26th of June is bath day.
Every 26th.
Every month.
そうそう。だからその、
風呂。
そう、2と6は、ふとろね、読めて。
There's lots of different, like combinations of numbers that people will use to be like, to mean something. So for example, how do you write よろしく?
あ、よろしくはね。
よろしく。よろしく。
これでよろしく。
よろしく。Because 4 can be read as よ。6 can be read as ろく。And then 4 can be again read as し。And Q, 9 can be read as ku. So, yoroshiku. So, there's lots of different like days like that. We mentioned a couple weeks ago how the 29th of every month is Niku no hi. Meat day. Niku no hi. So, 2 and 6 becomes Furo. So, Furo no hi. So, that's bath day. Yeah, so there's lots of different stuff like that. Thunderstorms here tonight. Power on and off. May lose my Wi-Fi. Okay, all good. Stay safe. Oh, like the famous 469MA. Yoroshima maybe is what his name is. Yeah, maybe. Andy and Yuki are always in the future. Always a little bit, ne? I think we're all just inspired. While looking at Dingo-tan, maybe due to learning from other sources, I've been writing 20% of N4. Nice.
Oh.
I'm up to about 350 kanji in my deck, but it's a bit scattershot, if I'm being honest. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, especially if you're just adding kanji that you actually run into in day-to-day life.
あ、なるほど。白くま。
白熊か。
うん。確かに。
Okay, that makes sense.
へえ。フェイマスラッパー白熊がいるんだ。
I've never heard of Shirokuma, but actually I feel like I have seen that combination. Shirokuma. Makes sense.
そう、変わってるよね、日本人って。
いや、別に。
そんなことない？
そんなことないかな。
あ、でもさ、スケイレボーのさ、
so we have stupid stuff like that.
スケートの8はさ、8書くよね。
That's not so common. That's more like a 90s, early 2000s type of writing style for teenagers. But yeah, he did a rap at Grizzly's Bar in the anime. Oh, okay.
へー。そう。で、26日は風呂の日です。いいよね、お風呂。
ね。
お風呂入るとね、ニキビが減ります。
If you take baths, particularly in onsens, not just a regular bath, pimples become less. They go away. Your skin becomes. It was funny. We went for Yuki's birthday. We went to an onsen for a couple days, and I felt like my hands de-aged like 10 years.
いや、ありがとうございました。私のエイジドデーだったんですけどね。De-aged.
The day for her to get older, but we de-aged a bit. But of course, it goes back to normal when you leave the onsens for a little bit. Have either of you listened to the new Shinadingo record? It's phenomenal. We have not. Unfortunately, like, it's funny because one of the reasons we ended up, becoming friends when we first started meeting is because we had a lot of similar musical interests. And we spent a lot of time going to live shows and listening to music. But the past 4 years, we don't listen to music at all, do we? Like, none. Once every 3 or 4 months, we remember that music exists. And then we'll do like a marathon for like an hour or two of songs we used to like on YouTube, like a binge. And of course, recently we've been playing piano. We've been practicing piano. But beyond that, like, we don't listen to anything. It's kind of sad. 39 is thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So
there's a similar writing system to that for Arabic. It's called Franco. Interesting. I'm using a Heisig-based shared deck on Anki, but I'm not sure if the levels are all mixed up or not. I see. I don't know.
Mm.
With that said, Heisig in general is quite all over the place. Like, the order doesn't exactly make sense. He usually just goes by the order of the pieces, which means you're going to get a lot of, like, not super... quite rare kanji quite early on, but it is what it is. I do everything with music on. That's a strange idea to me. Yeah, a lot of people do, and I used to do a lot with music as well, but I don't know about Yuki, but
まあ
I
私
can't...
も結構ずっと音楽聴きながら作業するっていうのが
So she is also a type that likes to listen to music while she does work. I can't. I mean, it depends on the kind of work. If it's super... how should I put it? If I don't have to use my brain, if it's like handwork, if I'm just like working outside on something, mowing the lawn or building something, or maybe just doing simple data input, I can listen to music while I do that. But if I have to think, I cannot listen to music because as a musician, I end up listening to the music. You know what I mean? I can't just have it on the background. I end up focusing on it. I find that I'm the same. I used to have music playing all the time, and it was one of my degrees at university. But now I study and exist in quiet whenever I can. Yeah, I don't know why. It just probably one of the main reasons is that, as you can see from this kind of work that we do, I can't be listening to music that I like or that I start like paying attention to the lyrics. How do I get over here again? While I'm doing stuff like this, like while I'm writing history and researching, reading this kind of stuff, music I'm going to be focusing on it too much. So it's just not something that is viable for us. So, oh well. Sup, Wombat? How's it going, Kyushu Trail? I need complete silence when studying. Same. I have several days a week that are all music days, but during the day, I usually listen to music. Interesting.
なんかさ、その言語学習してるときに、その国の言葉のアーティストの音楽を聴くのは結構いいと思うんですよ。
She thinks that when studying the language, listening to music from bands or artists from that country in that language can be useful. Yeah, it can be.
だけど考えてなんかクリエイトする仕事、文章を考えなきゃいけないとかそういうのはね、ちょっと自分の意見を書いたりしなきゃいけないエッセイとかの時は音楽は聴かない方がやりやすいかな。
そうだね。When you have to think up like sentences or writing something meaningful, it can be difficult to especially if there's lyrics. But for me, even like having classical music on in the background can be very distracting for me because I listen to it, like I focus on it. Anyway, I bought the first volume of RTK. Where is that over here? But haven't opened it yet. It was cheap on Amazon. Okay, fair enough. The kanji are in order that gets you to know all the Joyo kanji as fast as possible. It doesn't have much correlation to how often the kanji come up. Exactly. Honestly, just started slowly listening to Japanese music since I started studying Japanese. That's a great idea. That's what I did as well when I first started studying. I got that one at Kinokuniya, but I've yet to open it. Same here about that deck. Does Annie know any other languages besides Japanese? I used to speak a decent amount of Spanish, but I lost all of it when I started studying Japanese.
なんでなの？もったいないよね。すぐ思い出せないんですか？
全然 I can't remember any Spanish. I mean, simple greetings. Very simple greetings. I mean, if I started spending a lot of time in Spanish again, some of it would probably come back. But probably not most of it. Mine was like full on immersion as well. Like I did study it in school for a while, but I just learned most of it while I was in Spain. Like I was just surrounded by it and I would have to try and speak it. So it was very, it was very katakoto, what's it called? Broken Spanish, but it worked out. My stats say I have 75 mature kanji and 235 young. Nice. Dan, are you able to listen to music while you edit? That is something I was never able to do. I wanted to, but I couldn't. I'm sure if you needed it, it's buried in there. Probably. I wanted to listen exclusively to Japanese music when I started studying, but couldn't find enough bands I like. Yeah, that can be difficult. Back in the day, I don't know about nowadays, but at video rental stores, they also rented out CDs. So you could rent out a CD, bring it home, and then like rip it onto your computer, and you just have tons of music. And so I used to do that all the time. I would rent tons of different CDs. It was like $1. to rent a CD for a week or something. So I would do that, and I'd rip them all into my computer, and then I'd listen to them later and find ones that I liked. I found a band I really liked back then called Taiyozoku. That's how I found them. I rented a random CD that looked cool. Yeah, Geo was that was Geo that I went to. Yeah, Geo was my local one that rented CDs, but they don't do that anymore. I didn't think so.
最近のやつだと私たちやばい T シャツ屋さん好きじゃないですか。
やばい T シャツ屋さん。Those guys are pretty fun. Let's see if I can type that. やばい T シャツ屋さん。そう。This band is one that we like recently. Although when we say like, it's like we listened to them for an hour one day, and that was the last time. But they're a fun band. They sent meaningless songs lyrically, but quite fun.
Meaningless なのか、ただの mean なのか。
Yeah, meme like. But anyway.
ねえ、ライブ行きたいんだよ。やばい T シャツ屋さんの。
In the US, it's getting harder and harder to find CDs. Recently, Best Buy got rid of their entire music department, or what was left of it. Yeah, I mean, on the bright side, I guess, there's YouTube, so you can just go on YouTube and find lots of different bands, which is why we haven't gotten any CDs in a long time. When you go to live shows here, though, people are always hawking their CDs, even my band. So.
そうだね。まだまだ日本では CD を買いますからね。
A lot of people still buy CDs here, yeah.
レコードショップが。
Yeah, there's record shops too. Records are making a comeback, I think, all over the world, but especially here.
あ、でも借りられるよ、ツタヤとかゲオとかも。
They don't do that anymore.
そうなの？
I think Geo stopped doing that. Maybe it's Tsutaya, but Geo stopped.
そうなんだ。
だって、九州トレーラー今言った。
そうか。
ゆるゆる帝国。Ah, yeah. Fishman's and Number Girl.
はいはいはいはい。
We know those. Those are good. I do absolutely nothing without music or other background noise. I'm budgeting while listening to this live. Wow. That's a lot of stuff going on. My transition was actually the Japanese heavy metal scene, which I did not realize was as big as I thought. It's quite big, yeah. I buy in vinyl as much as I can. Nice. Man, I love the Best Buy CDR. Would spend hours in the aisles. Yeah, I used to go to music shops at the mall all the time, and they would have like there'd be like 5 CDs in the headphone set, and you could like listen to the 5 CDs on the headphones to see if you were into the album. My friend and I used to do that all the time when we were in high school. I think you might be hyper-focusing on kanji. Where was that? I mean, it's not bad. Yeah, I think in the beginning you have to separate out kanji, and you can hyper-focus on it if you want. And there's nothing wrong with that, just because you kind of have to. Unless you're literally looking up every single kanji, how to read it as you go along when reading something new, which is like exhausting. Even then, I don't know. I think you have to in the beginning. My favorite Japanese band released all their album CDs on YouTube, so I was able to get the ones that I didn't have yet and have their full catalogs now. Nice.
Oh.
I'm doing this, playing Zelda, and listening to Czech now. Wow. Nice. 1 week and a half for the JLPT. Oh, yeah, you guys are going to have that soon, eh? N3 for me this time. Good luck for everyone taking the exam. Yeah, Mobik, good luck on N3. That's exciting. Lots of new people taking the N5 next month. How many of you guys here right now are going to be taking that? Did you listen to...
結構ね、そのToKiniのウェブサイトでN5 受けますって言ってる人たちは結構できてるから受かりそうだと思うんだけど。
The people, they're doing well, so they'll be able to do well. Yes, I agree. Did you used to listen to English music before Japanese? Of course. If so, did you listen to different genres? I listen to a lot of different genres. Mostly rock, punk, hardcore, screamo. Like underground type screamo. A lot of that. The Walkman that could not fit in my pocket was my jam. Still doing vocab on Anki, a lot of verbs and grammar through watching The Legend. Nice. I should really take that at some point. I keep being lazy to sign up. 車の中に日本語歌を聞きます。いいですね。My goal is to end the year, or is the end of the year, or next year. Gotcha. I thought about trying N5 in December, but I don't think I'll be ready. You might be. You never know. I've decided to take the JLPT in December, or is it November? Ooh, nice, Kyushu Trail. I'm imagining you're going for N1. I think JLPT is only in December where I am, so planning on that. That makes sense. December every year. I would say you should either only do RTK, use the ToKini Handy Kanji material, or use the Migaku Kanji God add-on. Yeah, I mean, or you can do it all. It's going to take years anyway. What do you think about putting vocab words from your Anki deck and putting it into ChatGPT to generate easy stories with those words? I mean, you can.
どのぐらい作れるのかな、チャット GPT さんは。
It can help, I think. It's better to do it yourself. Like even I think like I create the stories for you guys on the kanji videos, and I think those can be helpful for a lot of people, especially people who are not very imaginative. But really, those stories are more of like a guideline on how to make a story, or one way you could make a story. It's always going to be more useful if you make your own. Like 90% of the time, it's going to be better to make your own, because it's going to be more meaningful to you, and it will be easier to remember, especially if you really imagine it while you make it. But a lot of people have never done that before. So RTK gives you like a bunch in the beginning, and I give you a bunch in the beginning just because a lot of people don't know where to start with it. So it's more of an example than anything. So I mean, yeah, you can throw it into ChatGPT, but ChatGPT comes back with some weird stuff, which can be useful. Like if it's nice, super weird, it can be easier to remember that. But yeah, 15 months. Wow. Thank you for being a member for so long, Mobik. Appreciate that. You've got the purple badge. Nice.
15 months already?
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a long time. Jeez, we gotta get to work.
本当だよね。なんか新しいフレーズがないかな。
I miss the band Shady View Terrace. I think I've heard of them. I don't remember if I've listened to much, but I'm also jaded about the JLPT. Like, I don't need some test company to tell me how good my Japanese is. I was trying to combine multiple vocab cards into one using sentences, but there was one bit I was unsure about. Does shika, tashimasen make sense here? The whole sentence is, 明日の予報は
極寒です。最高気温はマイナス12度にしか達しません。大変なことですね。
Yeah, the sentence is fine.
あ、そう。センテンスはグッドです。
Emo's having a comeback there. It was a little emo last week, but I said, is that so? That's nice.
超寒い。
I would love to see some of that. But yes, it's very cold. But it's just a sentence for Anki. It's not the truth.
あ、よかったね。
Keep in mind that it's better not to have too much vocab in a single card. It's better to just have one new vocab word per card, because you only want to have to focus on one new thing, and the rest should be like stuff you understand around it. Otherwise, it's hard to really like learn anything from it. I track all my study every day, 1,300 hours since June last year. Wow. When I started tracking around 3 hours every day, that's how I was able to take N3 in less than 2 years of study. That's awesome. I've never taken it before, so I thought I'd start with the N3, but I'm acing my drill book. You read like novels and stuff, Kyushu Trail, and you play tons of video games in Japanese. You should take at least N2.
しかもさ、漫画も読んでるんだからさ。
And manga. Kyushu Trail guys, I made a website 10 years ago, maybe 9, called The Reading Home. And basically what it was a place for people to come who had read Japanese books and like make reviews for them and discuss how difficult they were, so that other people could come and choose a book from that. And I made that, and I made a bunch of videos for it and stuff. And Kyushu Trail, he put a couple reviews on there. And I found this out like after I became a YouTuber, and he was making YouTube videos, and he was like, "Wait, you created the Hon repository?" That's what it was, the Hon repository.
So Hon repository ね。
And so he's been reading books for years. You could probably fast N1. You could definitely fast N2, I think.
あれだよね、日本語なんちゃらみたいなさ、教科書みたいなさ、そのショートストーリーブックみたいなの送ったよね。あれ違かったっけ？
I think he won something. Yeah, we sent him a couple books, I think.
あ、
for the reviews. I think. I can't remember.
ね。
It was a good site. And I sold it for $100, and I never got paid for it when I went to become a monk. But now I think it's native. Is it native? There's some website that's very similar to it now. Are you still playing Kagami? No, we're not playing Kagami anymore. We're doing something a little different. And also, we didn't stream last week, so we're doing once every 2 weeks now. Misa estudiando. Thanks for stopping by. Stories in English, but yet Andy's right about making your own materials. I did RTK 3 years after studying in college because they needed a better way to retain them, and it helped so much. Nice. Flip-flopping between reviewing JP and learning Cherokee for the first time. Interesting. Nice. Tempted to take the JLPT M5 at some point just to do it. We'll take some practice questions to see where I'm at. Yeah, you could do it, I think. I'm trying to cut down the number of old cards I have. Yeah, get rid of all that stuff. Less cards is better. Hisashiburi, Michael-san. Genki desu ka?
久しぶり。もう
Do you think that...
始まってないですけど始まっています。とりあえずね。続いてるんだよね。ライブストリームはやってるんだけど、
Yes.
まだコンテンツが始まっていません。
始まってないです。Do you think taking the JLPT M5 or any other level is worth it for self-evaluation? I think it's good for self-motivation. Whether or not it's good for self-evaluation, I mean, I guess it is. It's good to see if you can understand stuff. It's not going to test your speaking or anything, but I think it can be useful. Some people are just really bad at taking tests, though. Like, some people could be really good at something but terrible on the test, because some people are just bad at taking tests. So there's that. If you're just terrible at taking tests, the JLPT may be a terrible evaluation of your level. But if you do take it, I do recommend that you take it only with that in mind. Like, I'm checking how I'm doing, as opposed to thinking, oh, I must pass this. Think of it as like, I want to check where I'm at, and you'll be a lot less nervous for it, because that's what tests really are for. They're just to check if you've understood stuff. And if you're using it as like, I must pass this thing, it's not going to be as useful as if you're just checking your level. I've been using a website, Kanshudo, to keep my kanji organized. It sorts them by usefulness level, and you can mark each on a scale of how well you know it. I marked over 1,000 as no. Nice. Congratulations.
ね、すごい。慣習堂って辞書だよね。
Yes, the JLPT is not free. I think they have a dictionary as well, yeah. On the opposite, I can ace tests without really knowing the materials.
ちょっと調べてみようかな。
The new FSRS in Anki is pretty good. My main deck group has 5,500 cards, but maybe 30 mature cards show up in a day. I had a card today that a correct answer moved it to 4.2-year interval. Wow. But a native would likely even pass N1, so it can't be that bad of a test. Oh yeah, natives should get almost 100% every time on the N1. $150 in some countries. Wow. I'm a bad test taker. I get so nervous. I find it hard having to stay in a room for so long. I see. Is it 7,500 now? Wow. Yeah, if you're really nervous when you take tests, then maybe N1 you might want to wait on to get used to the format, but N2 you'd probably be fine on.
こんなのがあるんだね。この慣習堂ってやつ。
They've changed it a bit. Kanshu has been around for a while.
なんか見やすいし、
$100
いい感じ。見るだけだったらね。
I think I'm just a bad test taker, says Come to Japan Dan. So probably why I'm jaded towards the JLPT. And does it really test your level of actual communication? Nope. Yeah. All right, guys. So why don't we... What time is it? I can't see. It's all tiny up there.
10:40
10:40. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and jump over into... We're not going to do a whole lot today. We do have a bunch of stuff going on in the afternoon. So we can't spend too much time with you guys today, but I do just want to show you guys like how I go about all of the research here. Maybe I should make this a little bit smaller. Chat.
マジ私と同じセットアップの人がいる見て Yuki had the same computer setup I used for most of my Japanese と書いてある
The iPad? You want to show them your computer setup?
これいいよね
You can show them on screen.
あ、これ
Yuki's
これ
computer
慣習度が今出てますけど
そう
このなんだっけこれなんて言うんだっけこのカバー
The magic keyboard.
そうそれ最高です
It's quite nice.
うん
Her real setup is the same as me. It's the MacBook, but anyway, why I had to drop out of subscribing to ToKini Andy, but I'm back now. I've never considered taking the N5 or N4 because I never had the money. Fair enough. Welcome back. Thank you for your support. I've been looking into taking the JLPT for a few years now, but I keep forgetting to check the schedule to apply for one. The window for application is always so short. Yeah, that's happened to me a couple times actually. That's definitely what makes me lazy to sign up. Nihongo no Mori has mock exams during June and November, live streams, and matches the logic of the exam. That's cool.
そうなんだ。日本語の森さん、エグザムもやるんだね。
ストリームでかな。
ああ。
一緒に。That's kind of cool.
へえ。なんか私もちょっとあれなんかやってみたい JLPT の。
Yuki wants to try to take the JLPT.
そうウェブサイトのそのモデルのやつだけじゃなくて、
like the actual test.
そうそう過去問題のやつをやってみようかな。
Maybe we'll have Yuki do a test live on a stream one day. We'll have her take the N1 or something.
やばいぞ。やばいですそれは。ちょっと練習しないとね私も。
My setup, hopefully next year I will be able to move to Japan. Will literally just be a gaming laptop. That's all you really need. Do you think the JLPT N5 N1 study hour charts are accurate or important? I think they're pretty accurate. I don't know that they're important. But also you can consider the hours that they have on those charts to include like exposure. So like watching content. I want to take Kanken someday. Have you ever taken it? No. I kind of wanted to take it. A couple of my friends have been taking it from like level 10 and they're just going one at a time. My friend just finished 7. I've studied up to 5 or 4. But I don't know if I'll take it or not. I may not. It could be fun. What does this usually mean? I want to try and look at it. I want to check it out is what you could think of it as. I want to check it out.
でも手見るっていうやつは to try and do ってやつだから。
It's usually. But 見てみる we would never say try and see for the way that we use that in Japanese. It doesn't really make sense.
まあ
So we'd say something like, oh, I want to check that out in English is what you could think of as 見てみたい。
なんだろうねその見てみるっていうさ言葉。
ね、
一つのバーブかな。
今言ったことだと思うけど。
あ違うそれがカンジゲーションなのか見てみるっていうその言葉一つのバーブなのか。なんかたまにそういうの分かんないやつあるんだよね私も。
Alright guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'll just show you like one of the little parts that I've researched. This is what we're going to be learning as tiny crown. There's 3 strokes in it. I'll pop it in chat so you guys can see what it looks like if you can't see the screen very much. It's this weird little character. It may not even show up for some of you. It's based on the kanji for small, which we learned in N5. I looked up the history. We can read it. It says, easy to confuse for study and learning crown. This is actually a variation of the kanji small, as you might have noticed from the stroke order. In Japanese, it's often referred to as the naogashira, or head crown of this kanji, which means nao, which is an N1 kanji known as furthermore, for which this is the official radical. I've literally already scripted out the history for the video. Like that's the script. As I'm going along, I'm scripting it. We may not do that today, but we'll see. So I made some notes for the video as well. Easy to confuse with the studying learning crown, which is tsu, basically. It looks like tsu. But this is used in kanji like the next one. Hit the mark. To. And these are the parts. So how I would have found that is I would probably pop over here to my dictionary. I'd pop that part into the dictionary. Okay, it doesn't pop up. So then I'd pop back over to here. This website, I'll zoom back out a little bit and pop it into chat here. And here it does show up a little bit. It says naogashira, and it says that the main part of it, I should probably zoom in for you guys, is small. And of course, I always have yomi-chan just in case. We have kousho, which means by name. It's a naming, giving a name toshite mochiru by no shoutai. So it's the way it's written. Naogashira, if we click on that, we get this website. It says the same thing. So that's basically all I have about this kanji to work with. I can't remember where I got information about it being similar or often confused for the other one. That might just be anecdotal. But often I'll pop into the kanji after that and see what it was originally based on. I'll get some stuff. I'll read about this. Motto no ji wa. I can't read this. What is this kanji, Yuki?
なんかと読むんじゃないですか。同じ言葉
そうだね。It's read
な
as
ん
the
ですよ
same,
ね。
but we don't know what it's used.
昔
たを取り替えるとき、2つのたの広さがぴったりと合わせることをと言った。そこからぴったり当たるの意味になった。So that would be, this is a dictionary for like elementary school students. So I have one of those just to get some nice basic stuff. And then I have a more advanced dictionary, which has which often has different history. It often has different explanations for why it is what it is. So I have to go with that, and then I have to like combine the two possible meanings and histories over here, and then I have to look it up over here. I use this place here. Sometimes I'll use some other sites as well, so I'll read what the history is over here. There's basically nothing about it. It just says that the original was this. That's basically all it says, and then it has some meanings. So there's not a whole lot of information about this except that it was originally this. So if I go to this kanji, which is what I'd have to do, then I can learn a little bit more about it. So I can learn more about it here, that it was basically this, a field, combined with the ompu, which means the reading. It means something, the reading basically. The sound, yeah, musical note. Part of a kanji for which the role is primarily to represent the pronunciation as opposed to the meaning. So omp is what that's called. It was this part. So this is what was on top. And it meant ataru. And these are the historical forms. So if I pop into here, I can see that this means now, and I can learn a little bit about that. And then I know that this little part on top is why the original here has this little part on top. I know that that's where it comes from. And I can also see that if I click here, I can select search. I can learn a little bit more about the original kanji here. Unfortunately, that goes right back to this entry. So anyway, there's a lot going on here. But let's see what's going on in chat if you guys are sort of following along. I'm going to actually do a real one. I'm just giving you an example of one that I've already researched and what I came up with after that.
ちなみに私今の当たるっていう元の漢字は生まれて初めて見ました。
So the kanji that you just saw that this was based on, this guy right here, it's the first time she's ever seen it in her life. So there is a lot of kanji, historical stuff, that I've been running into that Yuki's never seen. So I'm sort of on my own in those situations. But she can help me a little bit. At least if I have some like misunderstandings within the dictionary and stuff, that could be very helpful. You guys have been at this for 140 kanji now? Yes, I've done this for all of the kanji in N5. So, and this history stuff is how I end up choosing the words as well. So I did this for all the kanji in N5, 118, and I've done it for the N4 kanji almost 150. There's some in the beginning that I moved back to the beginning and haven't done that on yet. So yeah, I do that for every single kanji, and that's why this takes a long time.
Hi.
I have Final Fantasy 14 brain rot, so everything looks like NPCs from that. Interestingly, I don't know if you're talking about the historical kanji, but if you look at designs in like Zelda, the newer ones especially, they clearly take a lot of their designs from historical forms of kanji. Like it's very clear that a lot of their designs, like of language and stuff, if you look at this, are based on these kind of designs. And even like character designs and stuff you can see coming from historical kanji. And I'm sure that's true about other stuff, other games that are made in Japan. It's very interesting. Makes me think of bird plumage like the crown feathers that a bird has. Yeah, that can be useful. Making up your own names for these there's nothing wrong with that. If it helps you remember it more, just keep in mind that there is an official, like a name that Japanese people may or may not know. So if you spam emoji from the button, it helps with engagement too. Appreciate that. Not gonna lie, some characters' etymology sounds like something out of RTK. There is a reason for that. He got a lot of his etymology from RTK. The same way that I do. I mean, he's an academic, so he's doing the same kind of stuff that I did. And sometimes he just makes it up, though. That's interesting. If I may ask, where did you get the material? The dictionaries. The dictionaries are... this is the dictionary app for Mac. You can see that there.
これ何ディクショナリーでしたっけ？三省堂子供のやつだ。小学生向けみたいなやつもついてるよね。
This one is for kindergartners. If we go to the about.
エレメンタリースクーラーじゃないですか。
This one is this. 例会学習漢字辞典. That's the one. And then the other main one I use is the this one. Shinjigu.
Kadokawa.
So Kadokawa Shinjigen. Shinjigen. Those are the two dictionaries I use. These are paid. They're not free. I also use a Kanken dictionary for kanji as well. So these are not free. And they're only available on Mac. So, I mean, you can buy the hard copies. Like these are actually physical dictionaries. These are just, they're big. These are just digital versions of them. It's very useful for me. My vocabulary is 90% coin words, and this is, koban.
Koban
ね. It looks like they're using Wiktionary, to be honest. Yeah, Wiktionary is one of the ones that I'm using. Mostly the dictionary, though.
そのウィクショナリーさんが結構詳しくその旧字体の元の字とか教えてくれるんだよね。
The main reason I use this Wiktionary is there's two reasons. They give way better images for the histories. They have a way better library for these. And sometimes they will have some extra information that is not available in the dictionary. But a lot of times I will defer to the dictionary if this Wiktionary site disagrees with the dictionary. The reason for that is there's a lot of times in these dictionaries, in this Wiktionary in particular, where it'll just say, often this is what is said as the history, but there's no proof for that, is what it'll just say. It'll just say that. This is what people always say it's based on, but there's no proof. But then if you go into the history of the entry on Wiktionary, they do not provide any proof that there's no proof. They just say there's no proof or something like that. Like there's no...
まあ誰かのゲスですよね。その
yeah, they're saying that it's just a guess, but they don't have any. There's no references. So in that situation, I don't go with what's in Wiktionary. I'll tend to go with what's in the dictionary for my historical choices because, like, I don't know. if you don't give me any references as to why that's a lie or why it's not proven or whatever, like, how do I know that that's the case? So I generally will defer to the dictionary, but I do find this Wiktionary helpful in a lot of different situations.
あとたまにさこっちとさなんかその辞書によって書いてあるその理由が違う時あるじゃないですか、その漢字の成り立ちの歴史の話の部分。
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
それ面白いやつを選ぶようにしてるよね。
No, I'm saying I generally pick the dictionary if they're different.
あ、そうなの?
Almost always I go with the dictionary. Unless there's better proof here in Wiktionary or it's
だって分かんないわけじゃん。そうそう、ライクリーなんだけど、でも
だからなるべく辞書で言ってる。
そっか。
In the beginning in N5 I was going with this a little bit more, but I realized that a lot of times they were full of it. So I go with the dictionary much more frequently. Mochi in LA, what's going on? Thanks for being a member.
ありがとうございます。私それ面白いそうなやつを選んでるのかと思ってた。なんか
She thought I was just picking the most interesting. No.
たまにそれさ辞書を並べた時にさなんか意見が違いすぎて、でたまにさそのなんか教授とかのさエッセイとか調べたりするじゃないですか。それでなんか喧嘩風な意見が書いてあったりして、なんかだからその面白そうなやつ選んでるのかと思う。
No. I tend to try and pick the one that seems the most likely. She just thought I was picking the one that sounded funniest or most interesting. No, I try not to do that.
そうなんだ。
Once in a while, when there's absolutely no way I could be sure which of 3 different possible histories is correct, I will choose the most interesting then, but rarely. The numbers are for passing with perfect. Okay, this is different information. I'm learning Shodo and encounter QG type too many times. It still trips me up. I hear you. Not to mention
そうその痛い字というものは難しいんですよ。私もほとんど読めません。普通の人はほとんど読めないと思いますけど。
Most people can't read those. How's it going, guys? I'm a new Japanese learner. I know a lot of sounds and know hiragana and katakana as well as basic vocab. What should be my next step? I mean, I guess you could start learning some grammar if you wanted to. You could just start reading some like very, very simple graded readers like the free ones on Tadoku. I think that can be very useful. Yeah, that could be a good next step. And as Mobik said, something similar to that. Small sentences. You could use like Tadoku. Search Tadoku.
Graded readers.
And just use the level 0 or level 1 graded readers. That can be useful. You could watch the videos in this channel for grammar. I have lots of those, the Genki videos. Welcome to the ToKini Senpuki, Gina.
Hi,
appreciate that. Thank you so much. I can't remember if Yuki's ever written your name before in kanji. If she has, and you'd like her to write a different name,
はい
that's fine. If she hasn't done your name in kanji, let us know, because I can't remember. It's been a while. You've been a member of the chat here for a very long time, so I forget if we've done your name in kanji or not. If we haven't, let us know, and then she'll just do your name in kanji.
もし名前じゃなくてもなんかイラスト希望と
if
か
you'd like her to draw a picture or something, that would be
それでも OK です。
that's okay as well.
はい
There's a website called Tadoku with a lot of beginner books you might be able to read. Yes, just want to say arigatou gozaimasu for your work. Thank you very much. EGS ZS 8-1. パソコンの旧時代の
例えば練習っていう字のそのさ、でもそれね、多分パソコンのその使ってるフォントによってだと思う。結構さ、旧字体を使うさフォントがあるよね。このさ、練習っていう字、これ東じゃないですか、右側が。だけどなんかね、この Mac はそうなんだけど、これがこういう感じで、こういうなんていうの、連みたいな、まあ連なん、両方連って読むんですけど、
pop up inside, yeah.
そうそう、こういう感じにね。
becomes that. If you look at this one, we can actually, this website's quite good. You can see different forms. I don't think this has old style.
なんかあれかもね、もしかしたらさ、そのチャイニーズ漢字の方しかもしかして意味がない場合、
right there.
あ、そう。あ、逆だったわ、この線が。
They were the opposite.
内側だと。こうでした。ね、なんかね、そのデータに入ってないんだよね。
Yes.
なんか結構あるよね。簡単な感じでもたまに旧字しかない、選べない時あるよね。まあしょうがないんですけど、そのフォントによります。
Depends on the font.
でも読めるから一応ね。
You can read either one.
そう。
But often, yeah, on top of that, she was mentioning this as well. A lot of times you'll think you have a Japanese font installed, but it's actually a Chinese font. So it might be the Chinese version popping up. That happens as well. 最近は日本語が全然使ってないんですが、勉強しなくたって簡単に忘れているわけでもないので安心です。
はい、よかったです。
I'm currently studying Genki. Should I study on my own or should I watch the Genki videos? I mean, I'm partial to the Genki videos, but I'm also super biased. So you might want to ask people in chat about that. The reason I made the Genki videos, I don't know how many of you know this. I think a lot of you do. But I made the Genki videos because... so Gina-san.
Okay.
It is Gina, right? Gina. You've never done her name, so we're going to have her do your name in kanji for a minute.
ジーナかな、それともジーナかな。
ジーナだと思う。ジーナ。
はい。
ジーナ。Yeah, I think ジーナ。
伸ばすってこと？ジーナ。
ジーナ。
はい。わかりました。
No 伸ばす。No 伸ばす。No 伸ばし。Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah. So the reason that I made the Genki videos, and I was just saying some of you might not know this, is that Genki sucked. Like their explanations were sorry. I don't mean to be mean to Genki, but their explanations were terrible.
しかもね、よくね、文章とね、英語の訳を間違えて。
Yeah, they would often make mistakes in their translations of the Japanese, and they would also give you example sentences that were like the Japanese example would be not bad, but the translation would be from like the same grammar point with a different meaning that was taught somewhere else. Like that happens a lot in Genki. And their explanations were bad. So I was like, I could teach this better. So I tried and people agreed. So with that in mind, obviously in my opinion, the videos are better, but sometimes I make mistakes too, and I'm trying to fix all those mistakes with newer videos. But some reason macOS, yes, I usually use PC, but I'm using macOS for this live stream because this dictionary is only available on macOS. So
あと私もう一つ悪口言ってもいいです
Yuki wants to say something bad about it again.
ごめんねごめんね。なんか元気さ、その文章のそのリーディングセクションがあるんですけど、
there's a reading section in Genki.
そう、そこの文章に出てくるグラマーポイントが、そのレッスンでやったやつよりもっとすごい難しいやつとかを入れてきたり、
They often put grammar that is like way advanced from what they're actually taught in that lesson in their stories. They didn't seem to like they didn't have an eye for understandableness, like understandability in their reading sections a lot.
そうだからね
And they often have exercises back there that are way too difficult for the level of people who are like at that level. Like for example, they have students translate the song
あ、そうそうそうそう
Imagine
そういうの
by John
ね
Lennon in Genki in like lesson, I don't know, what lesson is that? 10?
うん、それはね結構最後の方
元気
レッスンもう19とか20とかその
It's
辺
like
なんです
lesson 19 or 20, but it's way too advanced for someone in lesson 19, 20. And translation itself is I'm against it. Not translation itself, but for like people who are learning the language, I'm not
なんかさ
into translation. I don't think it's very good.
例えばさそのインジェネラルなさその例えば誰かの日記が書いてあってその書いてあることをトランスレーションで日本語でも書いてみましょうだったらいいと思うんですよ。リリックスを
lyrics are almost impossible to translate. Yeah.
そんなリリックスなんてそんな
It's too hard. It's too hard. Yeah.
エクスプレッションがなんかさそのドロップオフしてある部分とかをさ、
We still try to help people
難しすぎる
in the
じゃないですか。
reading exercises, but that's one that I almost want to just delete from or like right in the section on the website. Like you guys don't do this one, but people do, and it's fine. We still try to help. But man, sometimes I look at Japanese sentences and I'm just like, how am I supposed to know how to read this? It's like a wall of lines, and it seems so intimidating. Of course, it'll feel that way in the earlier days, even after a while sometimes. But all right, so this stream is about kanji. So let's talk a little bit more about kanji. We'll drop down to our very next part. It looks like our next word here is going to be something called fee or materials. It's often read as ryo, or its only reading, I believe, is ryo. So it's always going to be ryo. That's not a big deal. There's 10 strokes. So we'll pop this one into our dictionary. It could be fee or materials. So what'll happen is I'm gonna choose one of these. Now, I've already divided this up so that we have the parts. We have the two different parts that it's made up of. I've already taught rice. The history of rice is that, sadly, the historical version of this was not tree and 2 dots. It was 10 and 4 dots. In the end, though, 10 and the dots were just used to create a pictograph of the head or ear of a rice or wheat plant, with the pieces of rice clumped around it or being pulled out from it. Of course, the earliest version of this weren't even a 10, so it was a little more obvious that what they represented. A boat rowing competition, won by the United States of America, because this kanji is also used to mean USA, not rowing competition. All right, so I have my little without images, like these histories probably make no sense. For example, kanji project. Do I have N4 yet? I do not. The joke only makes sense if there was like B-roll, obviously. But I think I have YouTube kanji series N4 history. I've already got the pictures up here. So if we were to pop up one of the last ones I did, which is the tree, you'll see what I mean. The 4 dots. I guess I could just use a search. Mac search is terrible. I will just say that. Do I not have the picture of that one? Well, that's stupid. I guess I didn't take the image of that one. I'm sure I did. But anyway, it would make more sense then. But anyway, then we have dipper, which is literally, it's the Big Dipper. Like they use the same kanji for the Big Dipper. I think I mentioned that here. A pictograph of a dipper with a long handle, often used for scooping sake or for purification water at temples and shrines. I have editing notes for Dan here. Interestingly, this kanji is used for the constellation the Big Dipper, meaning that the name is essentially the same in Chinese, Japanese, and English. The only place I really know this from, though, is the name of Goku's flying cloud. Kintoun なんだっけ Kintoun だっけなんだっけ Kintoun だよね That's the only word I've ever seen this as a kanji in personally. personally, right? And then I have a story for it already. You can see the drops of water in the dipper of this long-handled dipper. Just 2 drops, though. So basically, we're going to have rice and a dipper as our story materials for this kanji, which is ryo, fees and materials. So somehow we're going to have to mix in a dipper with rice for fee and materials. Like, and I already have ideas of how that might work. Obviously, you could have something like you put a dipper into the pile of rice, and you take that out, and you have to charge a certain amount for it. Something like that will work into the story, but we're not doing story this stream. We're doing history. So I usually will start with the easy dictionary for elementary school students, just to get a nice idea of what's going on. We have rice and dipper. Hishaku. Hishaku is the name of that kanji. Hishaku. To o awaseta ji. It's funny. I always see to o, which I don't usually see in everyday life, and I've certainly never taught it. But in the dictionary, to o awaseta ji, I see that all the time, especially when talking about 2 characters combined. To o awaseta ji. So these 2 combined, kokumotsu o hakaru koto o arawasu. So this means it gives the meaning or presents the meaning of measuring cereals, which is grains and stuff like that. So that's the meaning of it. And then we have the meanings over here. I'm not too worried about that at the moment. But mono o hakaru, so to measure something out. Oshi hakaru, so to measure something out. Moto ni naru zairyo, so the things that you need to start something. Like zairyo is the word right there. It's obviously in the word zairyo, which means ingredients. And harao okane, so the amount of money you have to pay. So those are 3 different possible meanings. And those meanings are usually taken from the types of words that is in. All right, let's see if the history is a little bit different over here. We've got some pictures. Kai, so this means it's a pictograph. No, it's not a pictograph. It's an ideograph. We have our hishaku here, so our little dipper. To, kome, obviously, rice. To, kara, nari, so it comes from those. Kome o masu de hakaru. Masu de hakaru ってなんだっけ？
マスっていうのはこういう四角いメジャーリングボックスのことで、
the measuring box for okay, yeah.
よく酒とかを飲むときにこのでかい
right, the box that they use for drinking sake.
そうそう
Right, okay, that's a masu.
でこれは 1.8 リットル入ります。
Okay, 1.5 liters goes in
違うかな。
So it's
1マスって1.8リットルかな。
So 1 masu is 1.8 liters. So if you have that big box. So basically this is used kome o masu de hakaru. So measuring rice with one of those. Hite, so pulling from that meaning, hakaru iyo arawasu. So it pulls out the meaning to measure. Which means that based on these 2 dictionaries that the actual meaning historically of this kanji is to measure, not a fee. So I'd come back over here and I'd actually probably start thinking about changing this to measurement or measure. I'll think about it. I'm not 100% sure yet. We're going to see what our other meanings have. So I'm going to probably end up going with measure or something, but I think I might already have measure. I might have already named another kanji measure. So we have measuring stick. I haven't chosen a name for that yet. So we'll see. I don't want to double up. Like I don't want to have 2 kanji with the exact same meaning. So we'll see. So I'm going to pop over here, pop that kanji into this Wiktionary and see if we have anything else. Okay, we have nothing. There's nothing about this kanji on this website. Absolutely nothing. We've got nothing. Thank you. Absolutely nothing to work with here. So that was useless. Okay, but I think we have enough from the dictionaries to write our history. But before we do that, Yuki has finished Gina's name.
Hi.
Thank you so much, Gina.
お待たせしました。
Appreciate that. It might be a little confusing what's going on here, but let's
あ、そっか。もっと大きく書いた方がいい。
Mm-mm.
あ、
we're gonna
あ、
do
なんか
that.
消えてしまった。ここが。
Okay, so these are the kanji. This is the reading of your kanji in katakana.
はい。
And then this is how you could read it in hiragana,
Hi.
furigana. So we're gonna show that to you.
はい。
Let's center that.
ジナさんありがとうござい
Thank you very
ま
much,
す。
Gina. I appreciate you becoming a member. I don't know if you're still here, but we'll see.
ジーナさんのじとなで、2つの漢字を入れました。
Okay, so she picked 2 kanji for your name.
はい。で、ジーナさんのじは、これは、慈悲とかっていう、言葉のじっていう漢字なんですけど、意味は mercy。慈悲は mercy。
This one has a meaning of,
そうそう。
yeah, mercy, something like that.
はい。で、 なっていう字はちょっとこれ植物のまたなの字なんですけど、
奈良だよね。
そうそう奈良のなっていう字もこの漢字で、カリンっていう植物なんですけど、ね、調べるとChinese Queens
カリン？
そうカリン。
Okay, so this is the kanji for
結構硬くて砂糖とかで煮るとそう
It's a kanji for a
甘くて美味
plant
しいんですけど、
for a
その花が
plant.
咲いてね白い
This kind of plant is kind of a fruit, a sweet fruit, and
そ
then
う
the
結構
flower,
かわいい
flowering plant. I think we have the flowers. No flowers,
ピン
but
ク
anyway.
もあるのかな、白もあると思うんだけどピン
Of
ク
the
だけか
flowers?
な。うんそうまあ実もフ
カリン
ル
の花ね。
ーツも
It also becomes
フ
a
ル
fruit,
ー
of
ツも
course.
なるんですけど、
Okay, so it looks like this
うん
when it blooms.
はい
So this is the kanji that she chose for you. You've got a merciful, mercy, and this, the name of this flower. This is also used in the very popular town Nara.
そうよくねこれ女の子の名前に使われます。
いいですね。
はいこんな感じです。
Someone looked it up. I believe Mobik looked it up and asked, why does the kanji for nada also show a meaning of why? I don't see that one popping up. Let's see. I'm guessing you're using well, why don't we use the real dictionary?
奈良ってどういう意味なんだろうね。だいたいさラっていいっていう漢字書いてラじゃないですか。
ごめん聞いてなかった。
奈良、
I think he's just saying this kanji shows a meaning of what? どんな具合か。どうしようか。Oh, it does have a meaning of what?
あ、そうなんだ。
Apparently. But 赤い実のなる
梨の木。
梨の木。So it's that tree.
へえ。でも赤い実じゃなかったね、それ。それだ、から梨。
これ。
うん。
But it can also mean what, and it's probably because there's a word that it shows up in that might mean what, but I've never seen it.
あ、でもここに元の字は木とこの祭りを合わせた字で、祭りの供え物にするリンゴの木を表すって書いてあるよ。
It used to be this character that had something to do with where is it? 祭りの供え, so it was for a fruit tree, a type of apple fruit tree that was used at festivals to offer to the gods. That's the type of tree it was based on.
なんかいろんなタイプのなの意味が出てきてしまいました。
Many different meanings, but Yuki went with the meaning of that flowering fruit plant and mercy.
一般的にはその日本人の女の子のこの名が入ってる、漢字の名が入ってる名前の人は多分大体そのお花っぽいそのイメージがあったり、可愛らしいお花、そのかりんとかのその意味があるから。
Many girls have this name, and when they have it in their name, it's often used because it has that cute sort of, flowery type of meaning. That's why it will be chosen for names for girls very frequently.
そこまでね考えてないです。その辞書見てもうこの意味がとかそこまではちょっと考えてないと思います。
はい。
はい。
These look like a flower inside. That's cute. Nice.
ありがとうございます。
Oh man, there was a digital one of this. How annoying I paid for the physical book that is cheaper and takes up less space. How annoying that I paid for the physical book. This is cheaper and takes up less space. Which one? This dictionary here? I don't know if they're cheaper. Maybe they are. I don't know. On a side note, it's mind-boggling to think about all the time I've been involved with the language. I'm not actively studying, just immersed. I started learning when I was in high school. Now I'm in college. You have been going hard, and you were doing really good back in the day. So I imagine you're probably past me by now.
本当だよね。
It wasn't grain a way to pay taxes. Well, I mean, it was a sort of like a currency back in the day. So.
大学生だもんね、もう。HS ってどこ？
High school.
あ。
No, Kanji language dictionary, the physical book is kind of expensive with I see.
ハイスクールだったんだ。
All right, so coming back to the history of this word, dio, we obviously can just talk about how it's a combination of rice and the dipper, which obviously was a sort of ideograph or almost like a pictograph, but not a pictograph, an ideograph, which means combining two different meanings into one meaning to get like a new meaning, if that makes sense. That it's clearly an ideograph combining rice and dipper to show ideographically that it means measure. So clearly, historically, this kanji means measurement. So we can basically write something about that. Historically, historically, this was still, like now it's a combination of these. So I'll often mention how, like historically, it was often different parts, but now it's these parts. In this case, historically, the parts are the same. So this was also a combination of rice and dipper. So dipper. Quote, it was used as an ideograph to mean measure. As you can see, a dipper being dipped into rice to measure it out for taxes. Everyone loves a tax collector. I don't know. I usually come back, I'll edit this, and I'll make it into a better joke, or I'll make it a little bit prettier English, but basically I get that out, and then I'll review them later and rewrite them to make them sound a little bit nicer. But basically I get the history down there, and I can move on to the next one. Also, I am going to have to go with some type of measure. I'll probably just have to use measure for this one as the word, because it's the only one that makes sense. Even if we go with the modern meaning, the very first meaning from both dictionaries is measure, mono hakaru, to measure a thing, and masu de hakaru, so measure using one of those sake boxes. So since both of the main meanings of this appear to be to measure, regardless of the fact that it shows up often in ryokin, which is like a fee, even in the word fee, ryokin, you can think of it as a measurement of money, which is used to pay for a thing. So like, if you combine all of those thoughts, Yuki's looking off into space here like, what the heck is he talking about? If you think of both of those thoughts, clearly the meaning of this kanji makes most sense as measure, despite your English dictionaries probably not having that. So this is why I don't like Japanese to English dictionaries very much. Let's see if they might have it, though. Jisho might have it. Fee, charge, rate, material. Yeah. And fee materials is what they have for the meaning of the kanji. So this is why you have to be careful with, I mean, it's not a big deal. Like if you were to learn this as fee or materials, it's not like the end of the world. The world is not going to end because you learned this kanji as fee. Not a big deal. But accurate? No. It can have these meanings, but they're missing the main meaning, which is measure. So this is one of the things you have to be careful about when looking at Japanese to English dictionaries. They often, I honestly don't know where they get some of the meanings sometimes. And you got to remember that a lot of the people that are creating these dictionaries aren't necessarily super great at Japanese. So just something to keep in mind, and that sort of explains why I'm doing this all in Japanese as much as possible. There's no historical versions of this, so I would take my screenshot from the dictionary here. There's some historical ones here, so I just pop a little. I got the naritachi. I pop a picture off here, and of course I always I reference this in the description of the video that I use this website. And I'll rename that later. So that is how I research kanji, Yuki. She's never seen me go through this process before.
やってるのは見てたけど
But you've never done it with me. So it's a lot. And it's probably not that exciting. This one was an easy one. There wasn't like a whole lot of weird stuff going on. There wasn't anything on Wiktionary that was contradicting it. Most of the meanings weren't contradicting each other. Oh, that was confusing. I'm using my Mac. I thought I pushed a button. Yeah, because it's popping up on your screen. And you just want to drop in and say hi before going to bed. Look forward to watching the VOD later. Thanks for stopping by, Alex. Good to see you.
ありがとうございます。ゆっくり休んでください。
Is this Excel sheet in a publicly available Google Doc? It is not. No. And because this is basically my research, I may eventually make these, like when it's complete, available to the public. But this is all of my research that's going to be part of the Anki deck and our future videos. So definitely somewhat proprietary, if you will. So I won't be making this public. At least not yet.
なんかそのさ、一つの、なんか私が今思ったのは、その一つの漢字の意味と歴史の成り立ちを見ていくじゃないですか、全部。
Right, we look at how a naritachi, what's a good English word for that? How something is put together of the kanji.
なんかそれでさ、そのいくつもさ、日本語って一つの漢字に意味がある漢字に書いてあるでしょ、なんかその中でさ、はい、もうこれです 英語これでいきますっていうそのジャッジをするのが、
俺
私だったら難しいなって思うんだけど。
She said when looking at a dictionary you see all of these possible meanings for it, and then me coming in and saying, okay, this is the meaning. That would be hard for her to do. My thought process behind that. So you see, we have hakaru, we have oshi hakaru. What is oshi hakaru exactly? Let's look that up.
なんか考えてこのぐらいかなみたいな感じじゃない？
I see. Searching another content. Oshi hakaru. こうではなかろうかと考える。It's not this way to think about it. こうじゃないってこと。
そう。
Isn't it this way? So thinking about it.
だけどそれはそのなんていうの、例えば正解がこうじゃないかなっていうのも推し量るだし、なんかそのさっきの量をなんか考えるときも、何人ぐらいかなみたいなのも
It's like estimate.
そう、推し量るだと思う。
So, by the way, this is how I generally will learn new words, guys, nowadays. I never, when possible, look up the English. And even when I read this, こうではなかろうかと考える. Right now, I just came up with, it probably means estimate for you guys. But I usually wouldn't bother with that because this makes sense to me. こうじゃない? So, thinking of it that way, that would be the meaning of it. And that's how I pick up the word nowadays. So the reason I say that is nowadays you might notice more and more I have a hard time telling you what something might mean in English despite knowing what it means. And that's because this is how I generally learn new words. So and that's how you'll eventually learn new words. Eventually you won't know what the English is, but you'll know what the word means. And that means you're getting the language. Anyway, oshi hakaru means something along the lines of estimate. Then we've got hakari.
Estimate のなんかディテクティブと違うの？
A little bit different.
あ、そうなんだ。
Let's see what the English is. We can check. Maybe I'm wrong. Sometimes I am a little bit off, but eventually I see it in enough places where I pick it up. To guess, to conjecture, to summarize. Okay, I mean basically, estimate to guess. That can work as well. Yeah, close. And it has all these other meanings. So she says picking just one meaning from those, she would have a very difficult time doing that. But what I'm doing here is I'm not telling you guys this is the only meaning of the kanji. What I'm doing is I'm choosing what I think that the main meaning can be historically, that makes sense, so that you can memorize the kanji easily. Because it doesn't matter really at this point in the game what all the meanings are of it. You don't need to learn that. You need to remember that this kanji, you need to remember the kanji and a general idea of what the meaning might be, just so that you can get used to what that kanji is, right? You see that kanji, you have an idea of what it's about. And then when we learn words later, that will become useful because you don't really need to know exactly all the meanings of this individual kanji. That's not super important. If you have one, that's enough to get you into words, because what you're going to be using this in is things like ryori, right? Or ryokin, things like that. You're going to learn words, and that's all that's going to matter to you in the future. But first, as a beginner who only has learned 100 kanji, you still don't have enough background in it to like just start recognizing this as opposed to this. Look at that. Can you even tell on that little screen what the difference is between those two? Can you see the difference there? Honestly? Like I can see the difference, but it's very small. So having that story of measure being, and the image later that I'll make is stories is I'm going to measure out rice using a dipper and then, do whatever, use that to pay something. Having that little story there along with the history makes it like combines those two things for you with rice, so that when you get down to this guy, which has a totally different meaning, it means like a department in school or like science. You notice that rice isn't a part of it. So that is why knowing the difference about the parts can be useful, because if you see these two not side by side, it will be very hard for you guys in the beginning to differentiate them. So that's why I do this, and then why I end up picking one meaning, because you can't if you just see the word measure and you have to try and write out the kanji from that word, it's much easier than seeing measure, fee, blah, 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 blah. It's harder to memorize something with like 50 different meanings at once. So that's why I do that. Oh, there's my Discord. I would love an Ando game. I would love them to connect with a little indie developer in Japan who does. That could be fun. はい。何ですか？
すいません、その辞書に出てくるそのマイコが聞いてる同順異義っていうのは私も何か知りたいなと思っているんですけど、なんかさ、日本語の辞書にそのなんか四角くさ、なんか順とか同とか書いてあるやつじゃないかなって思うんだけど。
俺の辞書に？
そうそう、そのさ、日本語の辞書にさっきの
I don't know what you guys are talking about, but Yuki wants to see something. どうぞ。どこ？
わかんないんだけど、これかな？どこに書いてあるんだろう。なんか多分こういうところにこの常用音訓とか書いて、でもこれは違うよね。あ、これだ。同訓異義。
同訓異義。We've got a page directly from the dictionary here.
同訓異義っていうのは何だろう。同訓って同じ訓読みだけど、だけど意味が違うってことなのかな。
字を集め、その相違を説明した必要に応じて要例を要例じゃない要例だよねを掲げた見出しの訓は現代
仮名遣いによる50音順に書いてあるのね。同訓っていうのは多分同じ訓読み、そうそう。でだけど意味が違う。
意義。同訓異義って、yeah, that's all it means is that it's the same reading in Japanese but a different meaning. And this is the kanji.
測るはいっぱい漢字があるからね。
Right.
測る。
Hakaru has lots of different kanji that could use. So this is pointing out that this kanji right here, tsukeru, can also have the same kunyomi, but a different meaning. So tsukeru. If we pop over here, we see tsukeru, dokun.
違う、これは多分そのクリックするときにこの同訓異義っていうものがありますよ、ここにつけてますっていう意味じゃない。このアタッチメントがあるっていう意味じゃない、そのつくっていうのは。これがこのページがついてるよっていうことを。
And unfortunately, this page is just a straight printout from the dictionary, so it's not very useful. But that's all it is. Just popping in to say hi and leave a like. Can't stay tonight. I have a 5-year-old's birthday party to work on for this weekend. Looking forward to watching this later. Thanks for stopping by, Kaylee. Good to see you.
ありがとうございます。
Okay, you answered my questions.
本当だ、ケリーは言っちゃうんだね。
When did you decide to prioritize historical meaning as opposed to predators? Okay, so I already answered that question by accident. So that's good. Hopefully it was a satisfactory answer. Also, it's different. I also like that the way I approach it is different from most modern dictionaries, Japanese to English dictionaries. A lot of modern Japanese dictionaries just pick like, I don't know, 5 of the most common words that use the kanji, and they reinvent the wheel by choosing a meaning from that, like we just saw with jisho.org there, which is just jisho.org is not to blame here. They're using the JMDICT, the publicly available data on that. But I feel like a lot of people who have put data into that have just reinvented the wheel by looking at a couple words that are based on and not confirming in a dictionary whether they've gotten everything. So I like that my approach is a little bit different so that I have something new to offer. Like if I'm just parroting what's in the English Japanese dictionary, like there's no value in what I'm offering. Like just go look in the dictionary. What do you need me for? So I like to approach it a little bit differently because for one, I do believe it is valuable, but also like I don't see a point in doing the same thing. That makes sense. I can see the difference, but learning kanji has made it easier to see difference. Exactly. If you do this for like a few hundred kanji, you're good to go. Kamoku, so kagaku, exactly. Okay, so that was probably like 30 minutes ago. Sorry.
でも科目科学はさ、あれじゃないの、その米、さっきのさ、違いがわかるかなっていう、これでしょ？
そういう話です。One thing I'm doing is taking a travel to Japan class at a community college. Covers some survival Japanese and some travel ideas taught by a native Japanese woman living. Oh, that's really cool. They should do more classes like that. I like having context, to be honest. Yeah.
サバイバルジャパニーズ
クラスがあるらしい。
へえ。
面白いね。
どんなことやってるんだろう。
だから書いてあるじゃん。
そのトラベル
survival Japanese, how to like if you're at the convenience store and they ask you if you need a plastic bag, you know what to respond with. Stuff like that. And gives you some traveling ideas and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a cool idea. All right, so if we look at the next kanji, one thing you'll notice is that I don't necessarily have the final order decided. I won't have that decided until I finish all these histories and choose the names. But I'm trying to you can see I clearly put dipper and rice right before we learn this kanji here, measure. So now we have another kanji here, which is the one that looks very similar. And I'll need to try and differentiate that from the last one. But it's got a new part here. And I don't think it's because it's been a while since I've opened this. I've been working on the N5 deck. I don't know that I've covered this yet. Okay, I did because we had it in Watashi. All right, so grain stalk. I've decided on grain stalk for this part, and meaning millet or rice plant. This is a pictograph of a cereal or plant of some type with the ear or head of the plant drooping down. We can still kind of see this with the no, being the ear of wheat or whatever drooping down off the plant, which is represented by the tree. So yeah, we've got a no on top of a tree, and that has to do with grain stalk. So we're going to have grain stalk as one of the meanings, along with a dipper. So we've got a grain stalk and a dipper, and we'll have to come up with a story for that, but it could be department, course, or section. But let's go ahead and take a look at the history for this one. This will probably be the last one we do today. Yuki and I are quite busy this afternoon, but I thought it would be fun to just show you a couple kanji. All right, so interesting. This is interesting. The very first possible meaning of this one is also hakaru. That could get a little messy. All right, let's see. We've still got that in there, eh?
困っちゃうね、ほんと。
So this is fun. I might have to go back and I might have to change it around. All right, so if we come over here though to this dictionary, which is usually where I start, we've got bundui, so varieties of something or types of things. Kuake, so to split things up into groups. So we've got like kamoku, which is a subject in school, gakka, which is another subject in school, or a subject of study, I guess, and then ganka, which is a study of eyes, very very specific. で、生物分類の一段階. So one of the levels of 生物分類 of levels of
the
categories of living things. Yes. And then tsumi, batsu, it can also mean sin, apparently. That's not going to be one of the ones we go with. So we've got, yeah, we've got
なるほどね。
what would you call that? Like types or categories? Genre. Categories. Genre is a good one. Genre could be good. Categories or genre.
まあ、あとセグメントみたいなもの。
Segment. Yeah, segment could be a good thing. And then if we pop over to here, we've got a measure, 税を出させる. Make someone pay taxes.
それがかけるっていうことです。さっきのさ、罪を
the sin on that one. Okay.
そうそう。前科とかその。
Lots of different extra meanings here. But let's go ahead and take a look at the history because that might help us more. So this over here, we've got the naritachi. Naritachi is how you talk about how a kanji was built, what it's made from. This includes things like its history, the breakdown of its parts, things like that. So the naritachi here, we have sakumotsu. So we've got cereals, basically grains. We have a grain stalk is what our story was for this. And masu.
またマスですね。
hishaku, I think we called it. We've got the measuring thing here. とを合わせた字. So it's a combination of those two, obviously. 作物を測って検査し種類ごとに分けることを表す. So we've got more complicated stuff going on here. It's not just measuring it. So we use the dipper to measure something, in particular cereals. Then we look into it, we research it, 検査し, and then we break it into a new category. 種類ごとに分けることを表す. So this kanji brings up that meaning, all of it together. Not just the measuring, but also the research of it and the breaking it into categories. So that's how we get it in words like subject of study and things like that. So, okay, that makes total sense. We're going good. It's not just going to be measure, obviously.
はい。
はい。
ってことはさっきの量っていう字とこの今回のかっていう字は測るところまでで終わってるか、その後セグメントして分けるところまでいくか。
Right. So the last character just stops at measuring. That's all it cares about is just doing the measuring. And then this one we go into new steps of now that we've measured it, what is it?
categorize すると。
Recategorize it. All right, so this one, if we go to the more complicated dictionary, the one aimed at adults, although it's a really good dictionary, guys, you can actually turn on Ruby for it, which I think if you ever did have this dictionary, it might be helpful. Let's see. Why is that gone? There used to be a button here where you could just... Oh, no, this one doesn't have Ruby. Okay, that's my other dictionary. Anyway, kai keisei means that it's built for... It's part ideograph, part pronunciation. So part of the reason the parts are chosen is just to help you read it, to indicate its reading. And part of it is ideographic. So it's like a combination of those two. So we've got masu again. To. Okay, nothing. Sometimes the parts are different depending on what dictionary you look in. Sometimes it'll say that it was based on a different part. So that can get really complicated. Then I have to go into the parts and see. Sometimes I just have to look at like the historical versions of them. And I have to judge, because they all disagree, what I think that the actual historical part is. So if we look here we've got the historical images of it, right? So we've got this part on the left, this part on the right. And here... Okay, they do agree, but they don't necessarily agree on what the reason for the parts was. Here we have the reading, the way it's read being based on the grain stock, and the meaning, or no, both of them being, okay, both of them indicate reading according to this. This website says that has nothing to do with ideographic meaning. In fact, here we have では開文字と解釈されているが、これは誤った分析だよね、であること。So basically they're saying in dictionaries it usually says that this is an ideograph, but that is incorrect. Now, I want you to take a look at this. There's no links. Usually, right, when you have some new information, if you come down here, you see this? You have this little link here, and it'll go down to the reference for it.
なんか理由が書いてありますよ。穀物を測るであるとする説があるが、それを支持する証拠はないって書いてありますよ。
Right. There's no proof of this, it says. Okay, so this one there actually might be a link. Now, this one is Alex Schussler, an ABC Etymological Dictionary of Old Chinese, Historical Press, 2006. So this one, very rare that this happens, has a link to why this is incorrect, and there seems to be a book by Alex Schussler that suggests that this is an incorrect thing. It's not an ideograph. They say it's just for reading. Now, here I have a decision to make. I can go pick up the book and see if I agree with his reasoning, if I want to. I could do that. It might actually just be available. Obviously, I'm not going to buy all the books because it's $72 because academic texts are absolutely ridiculous. So sometimes I will be like, okay, there's research on it. Maybe I'll agree with that. But then other times I look at the historical form and I go and look at the historical form here. And then I go and look at the historical form of this. Like, look at that. Okay. And then I look at the dictionaries, which both say that. And I have to make a decision. I say, am I going to teach it the way the dictionary says and the way that my eyes tell me probably makes sense? Because look at that. I mean, that is the same parts. Or am I going to go with the Wiktionary thing that says, hey, this is like, there's no proof for this. Most of the time at this point, I'm going to go with the dictionary. Most of the time. Most of the time, it doesn't make a big difference either way. Sometimes I will go with what is said here. Usually what I'll just say is that some people say that this is not true. But since some people disagree, that's where I leave it usually. I'll just say that some people disagree with it. Some people say it's not true. What's most useful for memorizing, though? That these have an ideographical meaning, 100% of the time. Not 100% of the time, a lot of the time. So usually I'll go with the dictionary in this sense. So there we've got the history. And then I'd write something about that here. For example, dictionaries state that this kanji is an ideograph built from the parts that and that. I'll add that later. But some academics think there is no proof for this. I think it's useful, though. So, and then I'll write how we can, and then I'd write something like, this is an image, an ideograph of measuring out grains or grain stalks using a dipper, and then categorizing or separating them by type. Something like that. I'll rewrite it later when I can focus a little bit more instead of explaining what I'm doing little by little. But yeah, so I have that, and then I can use that in the story later, which obviously the story will be almost identical to the history. And if we go by that meaning, we could actually probably change this from department to categorize or something like that. Category maybe? Category. Yeah, that's our only usage of category to this point. I'm almost positive we didn't use it in N5. I can check though, because this is all the data from N5. Nope. Nope. Okay. It's my N5 deck. So there we go. Category, and I've got a little historical thing which I'll add a joke to or something later. And that's how we do it. And that's my thought process.
Hi.
Let's see what people are saying about that. If they agree with me. Well, Andy and Yuki are a lot more personable than a book. I'm happy to hear that. NHK World has a thing like that in their app. Oh, nice. I finally made it back to one of these. Welcome back, Space Core. Good to see you. Been very busy since graduating college. I imagine so. Congratulations, though, by the way.
おめでとう。卒業したんだね。
Yes, but the book, you go super in depth. Like I found one that said, do you want to go to Tokyo Tower? Have the information. Then it said, if you just want a photo of you in front.
まだ卒業してないのか。頑張ってるって感じか。
はかるが溢れている。
ねえ、そう。それがさっきの同訓意義ってやつじゃない。測る。同じ測るだけど。
Are you talking about this killer space? So go ahead, sorry, you can continue.
そう、さっきの同じ言葉だけど意味が違うってやつ、ね。
Right, same meaning, but もう一回同じ何
Same word, different meaning.
Right, homonym ね。同意なんちゃら。
そうそう。
Right. Where's the aliens? Yes, the aliens obviously have to make it back. I need a little bit of more time to work out how I could turn them into aliens. I'm sure I can. There's lots of aliens in this level as well. A little less than N5 maybe, but I have to go back and edit for aliens.
カムテジャパンのさ、大学のやつがさっきのリサーチなんだ。そのハワイなんちゃら。
Oh, that was yours? That was your university? Oh. Maybe you can get the book for me. University of Hawaii.
そのアレックスなんちゃらさん教授。
Do you know Alex there? Dan, maybe you can get his book, page 333 for me. Yeah, Street View can be very helpful, but Street View doesn't tell you how to respond, and neither does the travel books. They don't tell you how to respond when someone asks you if you want a paper bag or a plastic bag. The thing with travel books, another thing is, and what might be better I think about the classes with a native Japanese person is a native Japanese person teaching, like giving you tips for where to go in Japan. They're going to give you stuff that like you're not going to find in travel books, because travel books just give you the tourist locations, and they become tourist locations because of the travel books. So like, I don't know why, like Tokyo Tower is cool, but everyone goes to Tokyo Tower. Maybe you'd like to go to some other little backstreet ramen place in... Hold on. Want to go to every, like a backstreet ramen place that the teacher in the class is going to want to give to you. You know, that you'd never find in a travel book. So if you can find an opportunity to get advice from a Japanese, like a native Japanese person, then that's going to be better than any travel book. This is the dictionary app in Mac or on iPhone or whatever, and it's only available on those. And these are dictionaries that are hard copy dictionaries that have been digitized for this dictionary app. This one's called Meikyo Kokugo Jiten. And the other one, I'm sorry, that was not Meiko, it was Shinjigen. It's a kanji dictionary. And this one is なんだっけ、例会学習
はい。漢字辞典。
Kanji Jiten.
はい。
And it's generally aimed at elementary.
が出してる、ね。
Shogakkan is the publisher. These are not cheap. They're about $40 each, maybe $50 each. And they're generally, you can get the hard copies as well, but the digital versions are very fine. Very fine. They're fine. They're very useful. I find them very, very helpful. And that's my main source these days for all kinds of things. I also use them for regular words. Like this is my one dictionary. You can turn on Ruby for this one too, which is very nice. Ruby is the word for furigana. Like that. If you want it. And then I have a regular dictionary that is for elementary schools aimed at elementary students if I need an easier definition. Often there's like pictures and stuff in these, which is quite nice. But these ones are also separate dictionaries that are each $50. So the 4 dictionaries I just showed you combined, if you were to buy them, including this Kanken dictionary, it would cost you about $250. So I don't necessarily know if that would be useful for you. If you're going to get any, maybe just get the elementary school student one down here. This one's probably enough. Or if you just want a kanji dictionary, maybe get the 2 elementary student aimed ones. These are quite good for not beginners. I mean, it's not a beginner dictionary at all. But not bad. I would like a hard copy Japanese dictionary ultimately. It would be nice to have aside from all on my phone. Yeah, they can be nice. On Japanese Pod 101, there are a series like Conversational Practice with Situations in Japan and also one called Survival Phrases with Natives, part of the series. I used to use Japanese Pod 101 podcasts way back in the day. $40, that's crazy. I don't think so. It's
高すぎってこと?
I'm assuming you mean too expensive. He's saying it's crazy. If you mean too cheap, I would almost more agree with that. Why do I say that? In the age of the internet, people are very averse to spending money on dictionaries. And I hear you. People who don't have much money, obviously this is not for them at all. But as a professional tool, I find this invaluable. And it's got way more information than I've ever been able to find on the internet. Because the internet is just stuff that people have made half the time based on stuff that's freely available. And they miss a lot. So I've learned so much more from these dictionaries than I ever have from any online dictionary that I've seen. I mean, Goo is, what is it? Goo.net can be useful, I guess. Is it Goo? Goo dictionary? I can't remember.
何でしたっけ？それありますよね。
Goo Jisho. This also obviously has, like, if we were to pop this in there. Oops. Sorry. If we were to pop this kanji in, we could obviously get some stuff about this. It's got kanji information here. Format's not very nice, but obviously you can get a dictionary free on the internet here. Of course you could. But it's sort of, I don't know. I don't really love the formats of most of them. A lot of them don't have as much information. They don't have a lot of references. They don't have images. And then the English to Japanese dictionaries are usually not very good. But they're good enough to get you started. But if you want to get into like the dig into the details, these dictionaries are going to be super, super valuable. And $40 is pretty much what dictionaries have always costed. So, like with almost no inflation. I feel like dictionaries were the same price when I was a kid. So, not too crazy. I haven't the financial freedom as a student for $20, especially with the PHP being so weak recently. However, I do see the BAP. Yeah, no, 100%. For a college student, this is going to be too expensive. This is 100% for adults who are way deep into it. Like, this is way deep. Like me. I teach it as a profession on the internet. So, like, this is great for me, and I don't find it to be too expensive for what it is. It provides the value for the cost. But am I going to tell like an 18-year-old in college, for example? I know you're older than that. But no, it's probably not for you. And that's fine. But I don't think it's too expensive. はい。
日本人のさ、クラスだとこれ買うんですよ。みんな
They're required, right?
そう、ペーパーでね。
In paper.
私の時代は。
Kids in school, they have to buy these.
そう。で、これさ、高いじゃん。日本円でもさ、なんか5000円とかすんのよ。
About 5,000 yen.
で、だけどさ、 ほとんど使わないじゃないですか。その授業でさ、はい、先生がこの辞書の調べ方で何回かやって、で知らない言葉をそのページペラペラペラペラペラって何千ページもあるのにね、2ページとか3ページとかしか使ったことないみたいな。それは超高いものだよね。
そうだね。She says that a bunch of kids in school, they usually have to get these for school, and they're quite expensive in Japan as well. But then they never end up using them, and or not much. And in that situation, yeah, it's sort of absurd. Like there's no reason that every single kid in school should have to buy these. I mean, of course, their parents buy them, and the schools probably have some agreement with the dictionary things, so they can sell more dictionaries. That's kind of ridiculous. One in the class would be more than enough. The teacher could just read it out to everyone. But yeah, for what it is, I don't think it's too much. But I already forgot the names, to be honest. $20 is 1/3 lunch is out, and I work from home now, so more. I mean, of course, that depends on what country you're in, obviously. But not an auditory learner. Maybe we just had expensive ones at home. My dad paid like $150 when he expects me to do well in school. Yeah, dictionaries are not cheap. So it's cool that a lot of them are free nowadays, but you also have to realize that along with the price tag of free, there's a dip in quality. I mean, you might not feel that way, but obviously there's going to be a lot less information in a free dictionary. I took Okinawan dance class, tea ceremony, history of samurai, Japanese court music, or gagaku, where I learned how to play a Japanese ryuteki flute. Wow. That's really cool. それはとても面白いです. Need to head to bed. See you all in 2 weeks. See you later, Christian. See you in 2 weeks. Yeah.
ね。
What's the history of the kanji having different sounds depending on the context? I find that really interesting. I don't know. I mean, you have to remember the words came first. The words came before the kanji. Yeah. People said things before they wrote them. And then they used different kanji to represent those words. And sometimes they used the same kanji to represent words that were read differently, just because the meanings were similar. And that, I just pulled that out of my butt, but that's generally what I tend to expect.
これ？
そうそうそうそう。
ここ？
はい。
なるほど。
もちろんです。The parents buy them, Michael.
そう。
Okay.
Parents buy them なのかな？
The dictionaries? For high schoolers?
まあそっか。
自分で買ったわけないでしょ。
そうだよね。あ、そうなんだけど。そうだよね。買わなきゃいけないんだよね。
Keep in mind, the dictionary is cheaper than that little research book that Wiktionary mentioned. What was it? Alex Schussler's ABC etymology. Oh, but it's a dictionary. Never mind. It is a dictionary. So one dictionary says that it's not true, and 2 dictionaries say that it is. Whatever. Anyway, this dictionary was $72. So there's a person on Instagram that goes over kanji words and shows what they started as and what they look like now, which I've always found interesting. I don't remember his name, though. I do that as well. It'd be funny if they were copying me. I'm sure they're not. Do they add slang words to Japanese dictionaries year after year, like how Merriam-Webster dictionary add words like riz? No, I don't think they do that. Japanese is very formal in that situation. But you will find some.
Riz ってどういう意味？
知らん。それは関係なく、その日本語の辞書にそういうスラングも毎年アップデートしてますかって聞かれたんだけど、それはないと思います。
スラングはないけど、
まあスラングはあるけど、毎年はアップデートしてると思わないよね。
まあそう、毎年はアップデートしないよね。何年かに1回その新しい言葉、辞書に載せられる。
Every few years they'll add new words.
そうそう。
But certainly not every year, I don't think. Not quite as Merriam-Webster dictionary really likes to get into the weeds on those those slangs. There's Riz is a new word for charisma. I see. my cat is harassing me for a meal. If someone could please put the names of the dictionaries for Mac in writing so I can look them up later, I'd appreciate it. See ya all later. Will do. I don't have them in the description of this video. I'll have to add them later. Pompon sensei. Okay. Does Yuki speak English? Yeah, she speaks quite a bit of English. But we prefer to have her speak Japanese on the live streams because it's good for listening practice for you guys.
だけどね、もう not anymore ですよ。
You do. You can still speak quite a bit. But we don't speak much English day to day.
そう。私の English はレス&レス。
The live stream in my band practice is the only chance I get to speak English. そうだね。でも、また使い始めたら全部戻ってくると思います。
うん。そうだといいですね。
ストリーム見れば無料で辞書のコンテンツが見れるので、今は大丈夫と思います。はい、そうですね。
で必要な言葉はね、引くので言ってください。
My Yuki understanding has increased since I started tuning in. That's good. Proof of immersion working. And he's so good at teaching that we are all actually speaking Japanese right now and we don't realize it. Didn't you? Yeah, you didn't realize that? I've been reading all of your stuff in Japanese too. I'm speaking Japanese as well. You didn't know that?
そうだよね。まだ日々ね、ちょこちょこ直してますよね、私が。それ。
まあ、俺の日本語、そうだね。違う話ですから。
まあ、そうだけど。
はい。
それがインプルーブメントという意味で、スタディングですよね、だって。
はい。Alright, so I don't know if we'll do this again on a live stream. It's like we did 2 kanji, sort of. And it was interesting to like show you guys my thought process, but I'm not sure it's very entertaining stream content. And we only got 2 words done. So I don't know if it's like, I don't know. You guys can let me know later in the Discord and stuff if it was interesting. Maybe on the replay in the comments. So I don't know if we'll do this again. But it was fun. Maybe we'll do something like it in the future.
いや、めっちゃ良かったと思うよ。なんかさ、一応ビハインドシーンじゃないですか、今回。はいはい、ビハインドというかもうみんながライブストリームを見ててアンディがいきなり仕事やってる。
Yeah, everyone's watching the stream and then I start working. I just start working. Thank you both as always since we last hung out on here. I have purchased my airfare and first hotels for my upcoming trip to Japan. I feel much more confident now than I did before. That's awesome. Nice.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you for always hanging out with us.
ね
Appreciate that. ToKini fuと呼ばせていただけますでしょうか。
あ、どうぞ。ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
私たちも時に夫婦をやらせて。
そう、時に夫婦をやらせていただきます。
そう、sometimes ね。
When you moved to Japan, what was your Japanese level? 0. Thank you. Dan answered for me. Yes, my level was 0 Japanese. I couldn't even get sumimasen out of my mouth. I spoke nothing and I didn't plan to. That was 12 years ago, though. See you in 2 weeks is more blessed. Yes, see you in 2 weeks. Yahoo, chunk. Yahoo, Andy とYuki さん。いつもあなたたちの動画がとても役に立つ。手伝ってくれてありがとう。こちらこそ見てくれてありがとうございます。チャンクさん。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. At least we can all appreciate all you do to teach us kanji and for free. Behind the scenes looks is awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. Yeah, maybe we'll see. We'll see what we do. Maybe we'll have Yuki take a JLPT test next time.
そうだね。
The JLPT will be finished, so we can have her. We probably can't get a hold of the real one, but maybe we'll pull up a paper test and we'll have Yuki go through the questions.
そうだね。
And see if she can do them. We'll get the N. What should we do? N1, N5? What do you guys think?
N5.
Ooh, I don't know if she can pass N5. I'm just kidding.
そうだよね。私もちょっと不安になってきました。なんかさ、JLPT のウェブサイトあるじゃないですか。
There's a JLPT
そこになんかモデルテストあるでしょ。
She did a model test, yes.
で、私やったじゃないですか。最後のリーディングのテスト間違うっていう。
She failed the reading test in N1, but for a fun reason. It wasn't for the reason you would think. She didn't she didn't get any of the words wrong or misunderstand them. She answered the questions.
なぜかね、そこからね、シフトチェンジしちゃうんだよね。
Yeah, she'd read it, and then she'd get to the questions, and then she'd answer the question as if it were asking her what her opinion was. So she'd read it, and she'd get to the question, and it would be like, so what did the author think about this thing? And it would have a couple possibilities, and she would choose the one that she thought about the thing. So she very, very cleanly failed the test. And I had to explain to her, I was like, it's not asking you what you think. That's not what and she went back and she passed it fine.
そう。でもね、その間違えた時は結構衝撃的だった私。
And she was very surprised.
日本語できないんじゃないかと思って。
Yeah, so then I had to like calm her down. I was like, you do realize it's a test, right? Of your reading ability.
でなんか説明したらいや途中から違いますよ、あなたの意見を誰も聞いていませんということになって
そうそうそう。っていうか、こんなストリームが最後ってことは何ですか？ Well, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this kind of like breaking down kanji with you guys. I don't know.
そうなんかこれは前回次回見せるねみたいな
Yeah,
感
last
じ
time I
だ
said I would show you guys how I do it. And I don't know how interactive it was. I don't know. I'll think about it. There may be more fun things we can do on streams while we wait for me to finish the N5 kanji, the new data on the N5 kanji series, which is we're getting very close to having the new order is set in stone. I'll give you a pop-up. The new order is set in stone. We've got a lot of new sentences written. This is the new sentences deck for the reading and writing. All the yellow ones are new words. New words. A lot of things have been moved around. All these circles are new sentences we've written. We've been doing that every day. These are ones that don't need to be changed, things like that. So that's getting very close. The vocabulary deck, the regular vocabulary deck that we're going to be, releasing for N5, that is nearly finished. So all the red is grammar points that I'm currently writing new explanations on. This is an N+1, so every single sentence only has one new word in it based on the words you've learned up to this point. So that deck's almost finished, that data. A little bit of editing left on that. But anyway, long story short is that stuff's getting close. So we'll be able to go back to the normal reading kanji streams fairly soon. It's not going to be too long. Couple weeks. Month or two, probably.
いや本当になんかね思ってたよりもねワードのさ漢字ワードストリームを中断してから思ってたよりいっぱい仕事があったんですよね。
Yeah, we had a lot more work we needed to do to get back into the reading thing after we stopped doing that. There was a lot we had to do to get into that point because now I'm only using words from that vocabulary, the first few hundred of the words in that vocabulary deck in the beginning of the kanji series. So like there was all this other work that we had to do before we could get back into the ordering of the regular kanji deck. So it was a lot. But we're finally catching up. So anyway, thanks guys for being patient.
本当お待たせしちゃってね。ありがと
Then
う
he
ご
has to
ざい
film,
ます。
Yuki has to do calligraphy, then send it to me to edit, then needs to be checked. So much goes into it. Yeah, a lot going on. So anyway, thanks for being patient, guys. Today we're going to finish up. Dan, by the way, is working on a fire video. But most of you won't need. Most of you guys here right now won't need it. But
どういうことだよって感じだよ
it's
ね。
all of the kana, hiragana and katakana. We're teaching all of it, and it's good. Like it's really good. And Dan's editing has made it even better.
いや本当にありが
He's
とう
got the
ござ
first
い
few
ます。
parts finished, and it's
結構
really, really fun.
面白いよね。
I think
本
it's
当
great.
に。
I think it's really good. I think it's really good.
これを
Hopefully
ね
others
も
will
う
think
一
so as
回
well.
見たら全部のキャラクター覚えられるといいですよ
If
ね。
people watch the whole video and actually pause and practice when they're supposed to, I think that they can actually learn all the hiragana and katakana. Like actually learn it by the end of the video. I think personally. I think that's how it's going to work. I don't think a lot of the learn all of the hiragana videos are follow through on their promise. I think this one will. I'm kind of excited about it. It's going to be good. Of course, most of you guys don't need that, but hopefully some of you will watch it anyway, just for the algorithm. As always, thank you guys so much for all the hard work you do. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. See you two in 2 weeks. Yeah, see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Have a wonderful day.
ねえ。
Arigatou gozaimasu, Michael-san. Thanks for hanging out.
ありがとうご
It's
ざい
good to see you.
ま
It's
す
been。a while.
マイコもね、大学頑張ってください。
ね、頑張って。さて。All right, guys, thank you for hanging out. We will see you in the next live stream, which will be in 2 weeks from now, I believe. And yeah, have a great week. Have a great 2 weeks.
はい。でも
I'm glad you
あれ
enjoyed that.
か次の2週間後までに私は勉強しとか
So
ない
you
と
have
ね。
to study for the JLPT.
結局どっちやるんだっけ ?5 でいいの
Stroke order is we've already covered all the stroke order in, like we have the first part of the kanji series finished. It's on YouTube already. I know, Herv. We have 23 videos that cover the meaning and stroke order of all of the N5 kanji. The next series is on words. So we will have how to write them, but that's not going to be the main part of the video at all when we get back into that series. Welcome, James. Sorry, you missed the beginning.
Oh.
You only caught the end, but that maybe next time, 2 weeks from now.
Feels
Misspelled my
bad
sentence.
マンが
Feels bad, man. I'll be happy to spread the word when the Kana video comes out. Thank you very much. Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, so there will be some writing parts in that reading. And when we get to the N4 deck that we were just doing a little work on today, obviously there will be stroke orders for that as well.
はい
All right, guys, have a wonderful week, 2 weeks, and we'll see you whenever. What is the date in 2 weeks? Let's see. Pop up the calendar. And July 11th. July 4th is, that would have been when the next stream is. July 11th. We'll see you. Our July 11th, your July 10th, I guess.
はい
See you then.
みんなもね来週来週末JLPT のテストある人はぜひ頑張っていただいて、
Good luck on the JLPT next
はい
week for those of you taking it. 頑張ってください. You can do it.
ね
And don't forget.
暑い人も寒い人も
うん
体に気をつけてください。はい。
Alright, guys, we will see you in the next one. Thanks for hanging out.
はい、ありがとうございました。
せーの。
また次のビデオで会いましょうね。
Hi, thank you everyone. Bye bye. If I can figure out how to use this. はい、またね。See you later.